Hello, everybody. Yes, how are we all doing? It is the Fredders93 here, and welcome back to another edition of Football with Fredders, the weekly football chat and discussion show here on the channel. Now, unless you've been living under a rock the last 48 hours, you know there's been a little bit of a change in a football team's strategy. Yes, we've had the sacking of Frank Lampard, and by the time this goes out, his replacement's already come in. So what better way to get another perspective from this event than getting a Chelsea fan on board? Just so happens I happen to know one. Welcome back, Harry.
Hello again. Hi. Yes. So thanks for having me back, Fredders. I know we spoke about previously bringing me back to the Football with Fredders videos. I didn't think it would be this soon, but as this is such a hot topic, it was something that, as you know, I was very eager to jump on. And as you say, it's very relevant to me. So if you have, as Fred said, been living under a rock and not seen the football news, Frank Lampard unfortunately has now been sacked from Chelsea. And yes, as a Chelsea fan from a young age, you can understand, in my opinion, this is very sad. It's a very, very sad event and very upsetting to see it as a loyal footballer. Frank Lampard being one of the top midfield goal scorers, or one of the top scorers. I think he is the top scorer for Chelsea.
I believe he is Chelsea's all-time top scorer.
That's correct. Yeah, so he's the all-time Chelsea's top scorer. Fantastic player. Was with us for many, many years. And yes, it was a real shame. And yeah, so here I am to discuss this with you, Fredders.
Yes, indeed. So this is now the 12th managerial departure, I believe, ever since Abramovich owned the club. Do we think there's different factors that's led to this, or can Abramovich sort of be blamed with his way of dealing with managers? I know that one or two pundits and ex-players and that have said that he shouldn't have been sacked at the first sign of trouble. Is that something you agree or disagree with?
I definitely agree. I personally believe that Frank Lampard, only being in the role for 18 months, hasn't even been given the opportunity to do 2 seasons worth of coach managing. So the actual expectation of seeing how the finishing of the second season would go wasn't given to him. Yes, I understand when you look at statistically where we are in the table now. We are now 9th from the day that this is recorded. The struggle to get back to the top 4, where technically we finished last season, which is what the expectation would be, to at least finish the same, if not higher, makes it near like a high feat of a task. And obviously there's the argument they don't want to take that risk, and they feel that the last few games, I mean, when you lose 5 of 8 and when you're supposed to be one of the top 6 clubs, it's not a result that should be rewarded. I understand that, or not looked into at the very least. But sacking him, I feel, was a bit extreme. I feel like maybe even a statement of concern, or some sort of just let the fans know that, things need to be done. And obviously it all comes back down to the manager, and we just need to see what's going to happen now. If it impacts the team, if it impacts the players, that's the big thing that's going to make the difference.
They say that the summer signings that you guys made over the summer, I mean, because you've had a lot of money spent, of course.
200 million, yep.
Do you think that maybe them not coming into fruition, so to speak, straight away? I can think of 2 players straight away with that, but we'll probably touch on those a bit later on. But you can discuss those anyway. It could be the fact that they've are still really embedding themselves into the team, bearing in mind he's just had the one transfer window to try and put his stamp on things, because of course he came in to an embargo.
Indeed, this is the whole situation. When Frank Lampard did take over as manager. We were still in the embargo. We weren't able to do any transfers. He had a squad that he had to work with and develop, and he was able to bring us to an FA Cup final, finished fourth in that season last year. It was a really fantastic starting point for Chelsea. And then obviously this season, he's been given the opportunity to buy new players. Now, just because you've been given a lot of money and you've been able to buy these top flight players that are supposed to perform week in, week out, it still takes a bit of time. The issue is, as we talked about previously, Fredders, when back in the October, September stint, we were on form. We were top of the league for a brief time period. We were fighting fit, and then suddenly something went wrong. I know that these things happen. Not sure exactly why, but even in a top squad that has so much depth, especially when you're talking about how much we have in terms of substitute availability and a squad to choose from, there's no reason to fall as Frank Lampard has in the last 8 games, which is tricky. Now, as you mentioned, there's that argument, well, he's still trying things out. He's still developing the squad because they haven't had time to settle. But there comes a point when actually, yeah, that point has passed. I am very much on the fence about it. As I said, I love Frank Lampard. I think he's a fantastic manager and a fantastic icon for the whole club. Him and John Terry, two of the role models I grew up with, because they were just fantastic, as players, and just if you watch Frank Lampard's last press conference as manager, you will see how he's just more focused on getting on with the job than he is about the rumors and the actual other aspects of the role. He just wants the players to perform. He's talking about making sure that they get back on track, and he just wants them to improve. Well, that's what he wanted to do, and he said he gives his all into whatever club he's with. When you look at his performance with Derby, I think he had a fantastic run as manager there, and we were really excited to bring him in. Was it too early? That's the question.
Indeed. But I suppose, so by the time that this video comes out, you've probably got the replacement in place, Thomas Tuchel. How much do you know of him as a manager? I mean, I've got 1 or 2 stats in front of me here, but what do you know of him?
The main fact I know about Thomas Tuchel is the fact that he was sacked from PSG. This is obviously a big statement that most Chelsea players, when you first look at Thomas Tuchel and you look at, oh, what's happened? Who is this guy? What do we know about him? Obviously, he managed PSG for a short time. And I say a short time. I actually don't know how long he managed them for. It was for a period, but again, he got sacked. So there must be a reason why he got sacked. But then we wouldn't be looking. Obviously, we need to find a replacement. We need to find someone that we feel is going to connect well with the team, and that's what it comes down to. Thomas Tuchel might genuinely be able to connect well with some of our new players and be able to develop a squad in a way that makes it better. I feel like I should be an optimist. I don't want to shoot him down and just say, no, Frank needs to come back, because that's not going to happen. There's no way that Frank's going to turn around, whether the board or Roman Abramovich is going to go, oh, okay, actually, we'll have Frank Lampard back because, yeah, everyone wants him back. They've made their decision now. They've sacked him. So we need to move forward. I'm skeptical. I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, I think it's going to be perfect, but then we need to wait and see.
Thomas Tuchel being a German coach, there's this thought that because of having the German speaking coach, it's going to try and help these 2 players in particular from your summer signings, Kai Havertz and Timo Werner, hopefully trying to get them settled into West London and trying to get the best out of them. Do you think that the language barrier potentially may have been an issue, and the appointment of Tuchel might help?
Possibly, yeah. There's always that argument that obviously if they're the same nationality, then obviously they have that language element of getting on. 2 players don't make a team though, Fred, do they? 2 players aren't the be all and end all. So this is what I would argue, that just because, I mean, when you think that we had the likes of Reece James, Ben Chilwell, Even Thiago Silva spoke so highly. No, he's not English; he's Brazilian, but spoke so highly of Lampard. Yes, Thiago Silva being part of PSG for so long, he obviously was able to communicate with Frank Lampard in a way. Yes, we're hoping that if we do bring in a German-speaking manager or German nationalities manager, that will support them players in particular and give them some good guidance. But that's not a guarantee. And you also have to take into consideration the other players on the team. So again, I won't want to put my two pence in and saying, oh yes, it will probably help Tino Werner and Havertz. But there's no guarantee that it's going to be 100% better than Lampard. We will have to see what his tactics are and how what he chooses in terms of squad playing style.
So looking at Tuchel's history, he's got looks a little similar to Jurgen Klopp. Restarted at Mainz, then he went to Dortmund. Again, he didn't win all the Bundesligas for them, but he did win the DFB Pokal in the 16-17 season. Then he went to PSG. Then he went 2 Ligue 1 titles. The second one of those from last season being part of a domestic quadruple, and then the champion, and obviously Champions League runners-up last season. That's sort of his record.
Yes,
really.
yeah. So
still relatively new in terms of management, even though he is 47 years of age.
Yes, it's true. As you said, like he's obviously been with some big clubs, and he's obviously done a quadruple and has had some form of success. The thing is, it's about whether he can form good relationships with the current squad at Chelsea. I feel we have a very diverse squad with many different nationalities, with many different abilities, and it's making sure that you can play to every player's strengths. And for a manager to do that for a top 6 side is a very, very it's a difficult task. It's a lot to ask, especially when there's so much pressure from fans and from board of directors. As we've seen with Frank Lampard, it's the fact that if he potentially does not get on with a couple of his players, that can have a huge impact on the team. But we need to give that opportunity to the new manager and go from there and see if he is able to work well with everyone in the squad.
But personally, I feel that if Chelsea always needed a manager that could get the best out of the players, Steve Bruce is always a
is he Fred?
I had to get that out there purely because I got that out to another Chelsea fan, and everyone knows how much of a popular figure Steve Bruce is in Newcastle right now.
I mean, your last video, Fred, your last Football Weekly Roundup, I think the point was stated a few times in the video.
I really did. I really didn't want to have to make that video, but it got to that stage.
Of course it did, yeah, and I understand where you're coming from. It's a case of the frustration is there, and it's more about your expectation. As you say, you don't expect to win every game, but if you're winning like half your games or like 2 of 5 or so, then that's acceptable. But it's got to be the right match, the ones you expect to win, you want to win, if that makes sense. I know that's like a very straightforward sentence and statement, but it is when you're playing teams that are in a similar position to you in the league, you want to win them more than you're happy to get a point or concede a loss to one of the top 6 or top half of the table.
I mean, something that we'd always like to want to not have to put up with is playing 5 at the back against a team who, prior to that, had never kept a clean sheet and had only picked up 2 points all season. Yes, I know that maybe the Fraser sending off may not have helped things with that, but it is what it is at the minute. That's all I'm thinking of, and that's all I'm saying on the matter of Brucey this week. If you want to hear more, check out last week's video.
Definitely. Nice little plug there.
Exactly. Well, but of course. So any final words of advice for Thomas Tuchel, in particular of dealing with the expectation, not so much from the fans or the media or anyone like that, but in particular Roman Abramovich?
Well, Thomas Tuchel, I mean, chances of him seeing this are very minimal, but those that are Chelsea fans will probably all say the same thing. Try something new. Try and develop. Try and do some tactics that are going to power the players to make sure that they're getting the best of their abilities. I hope, Tuchel, for your sake, that you can get Timo Werner to score some more goals. I mean, Tammy Abraham, obviously fantastic. Olivier Giroud, fantastic. Timo Werner, previously, before joining our squad, was a fantastic striker. What's happened to him? Who knows? But yes, I hope that you're able to get some good start in. Obviously, we'll give you that grace period of trying to get yourself used to the squad. And I hope that you can outlast many of the other managers that have been and gone.
We shall, of course, have to wait and see. But that's going to do it for this week on Football Frienders. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Do leave a like, subscribe if you're new, subscribe to Hazza. There he is. Follow the social medias, and we'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Fredders. Bye.